Welcome to Ball Knowledge, the podcast. This is our first episode, the pilot. I'm your host, Benjamin. I'm a diehard Seattle sports fan. Great year to be a Seattle sports fan. Seahawks just won the Super Bowl. We're getting the Sonics back, and the Mariners are still doing Mariners things. Joining me are my co-hosts. Today we got Jackson. Take it away, Jackson.
My name is Jackson. I'm a diehard U of A sports fan, University of Arizona, Bear Down, as well as Philadelphia, All Sports Philadelphia. I can't say all sports, don't really follow hockey, and baseball's got too many games, but still love them. Yeah, I mean, try to keep up as much as I can, but we'll see how the ball knowledge is retained.
Heck yeah. And we got Adam. Adam, tell us about yourself.
My fandom is kind of all over the place. I'm from Missouri, so I'm a big Cardinals guy. I love baseball. Baseball was my main sport growing up. I follow the Blues for hockey a little bit, not that much though. I don't know anything about soccer, I'm going to be honest. I think our team is called the City.
Just recently learned that that was a sport.
Yes, I thought that was just for middle schoolers, but apparently it rakes in a ton of money for the City, so that works for me.
The City, that's the name of the team.
That's got to be worse than Washington football team.
Yeah, I mean, you don't even have a mascot. You just the City. You know, we're out here.
I mean, the quick thing is like soccer teams in the United States are kind of trash. Like half the teams are just FC, football club. And that's just normal. Like in the NFL, you name a team, sports team, and it's like, oh, that sucks. Soccer's like, yeah, that's cool, I guess.
And they're okay with it? Like the fans
City's
are just,
an upgrade. City is potentially an upgrade. So be grateful.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. We don't really have any football teams. Like we have the Chiefs in Missouri, but they're moving to Kansas, and I'd rather die than root for a Kansas team. So I am a Lions fan. I've been a Lions fan since I was a young boy. And then my basketball team is the Oklahoma City Thunder. I was like 2 when they went from Seattle to Oklahoma, and just Oklahoma is the next port closest to Missouri. So I've been a Thunder fan my entire life.
Yeah, there you go.
Hey, also good time to be a Thunder fan.
Yeah, fantastic time to be a Thunder fan.
Tell you what.
First time in 10 years, but, you know, hey, I'll take it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
stole them from Seattle.
Someday we'll forgive the Thunder for leaving. Kind of like, you know, what happened to the Rams? Why did the Rams leave Missouri? I've never heard you talk about this, Adam.
Stan Kroenke is, if not one of the worst people to walk the earth, maybe top 5. Took billions from the city of St. Louis so that he could fund himself, his own little empire down in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
He not only owns the Rams, but he owns the Denver Nuggets. And it's obvious the way that organization is mismanaged that you can tell. Stan Kroenke stole billions from the city of St. Louis. Money that was going to be funded into schools, funded into the road, funded into construction, funded into making the city, that's a city reference, a better place. But no, he chose to be a sellout, make more money, and buy out the team for $6 billion and move to Los Angeles. Thanks, Stan.
Thank you, Stan. Heck yeah. Well, as the pilot episode, we kind of just wanted to run over, you know, how we feel about our current sports teams. We want to prove that we know ball, prove that we're not, you know, bandwagons. You know, good year, you know, to be an Eagles fan. They won the Super Bowl. Good year to be a Seahawks fan. They just won the Super Bowl, and a good year to be a Thunder fan. But, you know, we got to prove that we're not bandwagons. We got to prove that we know ball. So I want to kind of go over what we would do if we were, you know, running our sports organizations for a year. You know, what changes will we make? How do we feel about their futures going forward? So I can kind of start with Adam. You know, the Lions are the only NFL team out of the 3 of us that missed the playoffs. So, Adam, if you were put in charge of the Detroit Lions for 1 season, what would you do?
Jared Goff has got to get off my team. We pay him way too much to be as okay as he is. CJ Stroud, like, I would rather have CJ Stroud for what he gets paid. That way we can spend that money on getting, you know, upping our defense. I think Jahmyr Gibbs can be an offense. I think he can raise this team to the top. I don't think that is going to happen while Jared Goff is on that team. He makes way too much money to be as okay as he is. I didn't like the trade when we traded Stafford for him. I thought that we should have invested around Stafford a long time ago. But obviously, I'm not an NFL GM. If I was, Jared Goff would have never been on my team. There was a reason that he was not loved in Los Angeles. If Stan Kroenke doesn't love you, then why should I? He was paid way too much. Other than that, I think the Lions are fantastic. They've been riddled with injuries, as is, most sports organizations. But I feel like if we don't have those injuries, then we're back in the playoffs again. I'm not saying that we win, but we definitely do better than 8-8. Not a big fan of our previous offensive coordinator. Thank God they got him out. I've seen high school girls make better football plays than our offensive coordinator made. So I'm glad that he is no longer with us. That's all I
Make
got
it
on the
sound like he
Lions.
died.
Well, he did. He did. When your head coach goes, "Hey man, I'm going to call the plays from now on," and you had been calling plays up until that point, there's something wrong with that. Like, for example, in Kansas City, Eric Bieniemy knew his place while he was with there the first night. Andy Reid was going to be calling plays 75% of the time. Mahomes was going to be calling plays 15% of the time, and Bieniemy was going to be calling plays 10% of the time. And he was okay with that. That was fine, and that's why he left Kansas City in the first place, to go be a play caller. Well, they hired Calhoun, I think is his name, to be the offensive coordinator to call plays 100% of the time. When you get that taken away from you, the thing that you were hired to do, and you're like, yeah, you're not going to do this anymore, something has gone wrong. And something did go wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I looked it up. I looked up Jared Goff's contract. 4 years, $212 million. So you get that off the books. What do you do with that money?
I mean, that's a basketball contract right there. That's an NBA contract. We talk about all the time, NBA money is ridiculous. You're paying Jared Goff, what is that, 47-ish million a year to be
Yeah,
okay? 47 million a year, that's
53 million is what I'm
53
seeing.
million. Oh yeah. Yeah. Go out and bolster the secondary. And you have Bryant Branch, who is fantastic. He's one of the best nickelbacks in the league outside of the injury they had that killed our season. Kirby Joseph, two-time interception leader. Fantastic. Outside of that, the boundary corner is not great. Slot corner is not great. You've got Terrion Arnold, who we spent the first round pick on to be okay. Now, for his contract, he's fine. But people were calling him, he's going to be the savior of Detroit. He was not. He was not. In the playoff game against the Rams in 2022, he got bailed out. And he got bailed out 100% by Amon-Ra St. Brown catching 80 passes that game. But he's getting torched every single time. You look at teams that have had Super Bowl success last year. Now, they didn't win, but if you look at that Super Bowl, without Christian Gonzalez, the Patriots lose by about 40. That dude is locking people down. That's what we envision Terrion Arnold to be. He's getting beat every time. You get two more corners in there, and you get a cheaper quarterback. Now, my original plan was a little unrealistic in saying, hey, let's ship this off with Jamison Williams in our first this year to maybe try and get the number one overall pick in Fernando Mendoza. But alternatively, I would go with the route of Goff for Jackson Dart out of New York. I think that Jackson Dart can develop. I think that we don't need to put any pressure on him. He can just be an okay game manager, which is, a little close to his title now. He's an okay game manager with wheels. If we did that, got Jackson Dart, we put him in, I think we're in the same spot. But we have that extra money to where we can get, hey, this is two more corners. This is a backup offensive guard. We can spend that money to bolster our positions of need outside of quarterback. Because we say quarterback is the most valuable position in every single sport. But you also have to have a good team around him. And if your defense is allowing that many points a games, I mean, it's not great for Jared Goff, but he's definitely not great either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So your plan is to develop around a young quarterback, maybe take 2-3 years to let him develop before he's ready to really take the reins. Is that kind of what you're thinking?
Yep. I think that way, he's ready to go. He's been in that system. He's worked with his wide receivers. He's worked with his tight ends. He's worked with his offensive line. You've got cornerstone pieces out there on that offensive line. Now, Frank Ragnow just retired, and we let go of Taylor Decker, but you've still
Well, no,
got
Taylor
Penei
Decker
Sewell.
wanted out. He asked for his release.
We let go of Taylor Decker. That's how I like to see it. I don't.
Mutually parted ways.
Yeah, yeah, mutually parted ways for sure. But you've still got the greatest right tackle in the game right now in Panay Sewell. I mean, that dude is a demon. He has been a demon since he came into the league. He was a
Oh
demon at
yeah.
Oregon. He was a demon in high school. You can't really go wrong with him if you run to the right side. Your success rate is probably about 80%. If you build around that, you keep him, you keep your contracts and Amon-Ra St. Brown. Probably Laporta is gone by the time that they're ready to be a Super Bowl contender. But I think that would fix it. You give a young quarterback time to develop. It's worked historically. Tom Brady, he developed under Drew Bledsoe. You got guys. There are
Mahomes.
more that I have. Yeah, Mahomes under Alex Smith for a year. Lamar
Jordan Love
Jackson
is
under
doing it
Joe
right now.
Flacco. Yeah, Jordan Love under Rodgers. Rodgers under Favre. I mean, these guys that have developed for a year instead of just throwing them out. It's done better for them. I know in Seattle, you've got Jalen Milroe. That dude could be a demon. I mean, not this year, but 3, 4 years from now on his second contract, he could go ball out for, I mean, the Seahawks or really any other franchise. I was kind of shocked that they didn't move off from him this year.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and that's a good segue into kind of where the state of the Seahawks is, but I'm going to kind of put a pin on that for a second. I'm curious about your, Jackson Dart idea because what we're seeing in Detroit, from my perspective, Detroit's one of my, those teams that I always can root for because they're not like an obnoxious team. They have a good fan base, and sometimes you kind of feel bad for them because for a team that old to never even, make a Super Bowl, that's kind of how I am with the Mariners right now. Like, come on, you got to feel bad for them. You got to root for them. That being said, there is a little bit of a culture there that does concern me with putting Jackson Dart there because Dan Campbell is a fantastic coach and everybody loves Dan Campbell. But that brand of football that they play there, where it's a smash mouth, talking trash, I kind of would be concerned about putting Jackson Dart there because of the ego. Jackson Dart was, you see him at the draft. He's this rich Mormon kid from Utah, grew up in the suburbs and for big house, goes Hollywood when he goes to New York. I feel like if you bring him into a Dan Campbell offense with that identity and that culture, I'd be kind of a little bit scared about handing him the reins without maybe a little bit of humility. Does that kind of scare you at all, the character of Jackson Dart?
I don't think the character is exactly what I would say. My issue would be how fast are you going to be able to mature? Because we've seen him be able to rise in those moments. Last year, 2 years ago, at Ole Miss, fantastic player. Having to fill into Matt Corral's shoes. Now, Matt Corral didn't pan out in the NFL, but he was a fantastic quarterback at Ole Miss. You had to fill those shoes, and he did it well in a Lane Kiffin offense who is more or less the antithesis of Dan Campbell.
Yeah,
The ego is going to drive me, and it's going to be, well, I know what I am, and we're going to get there. Whereas Dan Campbell is always going to say, we can always be better. We're bad, even if we're good. We need to be better than where we are at now, even if we're perfect. I think you have to mature. And no offense to Brian Daboll, but Brian Daboll is not really a hard coach to be with. He's, hey, let's just go out there and have fun, which is okay, but that also gets you fired and hired by Tennessee. So I think it would definitely be a culture shock, but to save 40 million, I don't know what the contract is right now of Jackson Dart, to save 40 million. And if we just have one character concern, okay, I'd rather have a character concern at quarterback than 53 million concerns a year at quarterback.
that's a good point. That's a good point. All right, I like it. I like it. So I agree with you. I think Detroit is probably a piece away and a couple years away. I think if you do exactly what you said, you trade Goff for some draft capital, you spend money on the secondary, and then develop a young, promising quarterback. I think that with that offensive line, with those weapons in Amon-Ra, Jameson Williams, I don't know if you're still, wanting to trade Jameson Williams, but assuming he's still there, he's a threat. He's a threat. Jahmyr Gibbs is fantastic, and hopefully they can keep on to Laporta because he's got some of the best hands I've ever seen at tight end. And I think that's a good defense with a great coach that's going to, make them work hard. I don't think you're wrong. I think if you go that route, I think that there's a really good chance that they're at least competing for a Super Bowl, kind of like they were the other year when they were the number one seed. So I think you're right. I think that's a great plan. And yeah, I like that a lot.
And do you think it would be worth it to even have a young quarterback come in behind Goff, keep him for around for a year to help him train him up? Because I mean, Goff is costing a lot of money. At the same time, he's a guy with a lot of experience under his belt. That could be one of those kind of veteran trainers.
Mentors.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Or
I
do you feel
don't
like
think
Goff's not
so.
good enough that anyone else can train him up?
I don't think that he's good enough. I think that his game is I'm going to hit this little in route 10 yards out 8 times a game, and now my completion percentage is fantastic. Wow, QBR, fantastic. You threw 240 yards that game, Jared. What were you doing? You threw 127 yards that game. What were you doing? Jared is just not, he's not going to do it for you. I
He
think
feels
having him on
like
that team any longer is a waste.
he feels like to me the part two of Joe Flacco is he elite. And he's not.
He's
Yeah.
and he's
Like
not. He's
like
not.
really good, can get to good games, somehow win some, but just can't ever
$53 million
impress you.
a year to be okay. I, it just all
Egregious.
stems down to the contract. If he was paid a lot less, if he was paid $20 million a year, he'd be fantastic. But he's $53 million a year to be. You know what? How great your job would be if you got paid $53 million a year to be just okay. I mean, that'd be fantastic. But that's not. That's just not real.
He'll be feeding his great grandchildren just by throwing checkdowns. That's, hey, can't be too mad for the guy. So last question for you, Adam, and then we'll turn it over to Jackson to talk about Philly. But the Joe Flacco reference made me think, if you were to ship off Jared Goff and try to develop Jackson Dart, are you benching Jackson Dart for at least a little bit under a veteran quarterback? And if so, which veteran would you want to hand the reins to for at least maybe let's say half a season?
Well, it depends. If we are going for a win now kind of thing, because there is good things in benching and saying, "Here, I need you to develop." But at the same time, the defense has proved that they can get there. The offense has proved that they can get there, even with the lackluster pieces that they have. They've been there twice in the last 3 years, which hadn't happened for at least since I've been alive. They've proved that they can get there. I don't think anyone on the team is going to want to say, hey, well, I guess we'll just sit behind Joe Flacco and let Joe Flacco lead our offense. Or, the Colts last year were what, 8-1 heading to week 11, and you get out there and trot out Philip Rivers and they miss the playoffs. I just don't think that that's something that the Lions culture should invest in. If it were to be anyone, it would have to be Joe Flacco. He did get the kind of make a wish Pro Bowl this last year. Two
Bet, yeah.
Cincinnati quarterbacks. Shadur as an NFL. That's my Pro Bowler right there. I told her bust down my AP.
Perfect
I
timing.
Perfect timing. I just don't think that it's right. I don't think that it's right for the Lions culture. I don't think that the Lions should have a veteran quarterback come in there. But if they did, I think Aaron Rodgers would be a good call. Hey, Aaron, we know you're out here in Pittsburgh. Let's see you on the Hawaiian blue and silver. Come on out here to Detroit. Take the kind of antithesis to Brett Favre route instead of going to the Packers. Come on out here to the Lions.
Does
Play
that
for a
not sting a
year.
little bit?
No, it would suck. It would suck. But I also think that if anyone's going to get Jackson Dart to where he needs to be, it's going to be old head Aaron Rodgers.
That's
Ayahuasca trip
true.
and everything.
Ayahuasca trip. Yep. Yep. All right. You heard it here first, folks. If Adam is hired as the GM of the Detroit Lions, Jackson Dart will be your week one starting quarterback, and there will be a lot of cap room to develop for the future or win now. I think that's kind of what I got was that you're in a win now mode at the Lions, and I I, I can't really fault you for that because it does feel like they're just a couple pieces away. And I think if you free up that money on that horrific $212 million contract, that there is a chance. All right. Jackson, let's talk some Philly football. If you were hired as the GM of the Philadelphia Eagles, what moves are you making to get them back to the Super Bowl?
All right. Well, just a preface. I'm a little out of practice in my ball knowledge currently, seeing as I just recently returned from a third world country for 2 years. I didn't even know that the Super Bowl happened. When it happened, when my Eagles won, I knew they were in it, but I was like, oh, I guess they won. Not totally current on everything, but I don't know. There's kind of a lot to unpack because there's a good team, but not doesn't seem like it's good enough. There's pieces missing and things should be done. There's that could be made, but what we have and the big pieces we have are great. You know, Jalen Hurts has shown he can be the guy. Obviously, although he gets criticism, but there's no reason he can't be that guy. It's looking like AJ Brown is maybe not get traded. I think that we need to just kind of fill in holes. Honestly, I mean we've lost some people in the defense that are pretty key as well. Resign some, but I think we need to lock down the secondary a bit more and make sure we have weapons out there that can help Jalen and Saquon. Saquon can make things work. Our O line's not what it used to be, but Saquon can kind of make up for that. But if we don't have AJ Brown, we just have Devontae Smith. Really got to have some weapons out there. Maybe make a big draft pick or a trade or something like that to make sure that Jalen's got the weapons he needs to really make a push this year. Obviously, getting rid of that Kevin Patullo clown was probably the greatest move Philly's ever made, but a pretty obvious one. We'll see how Sean Mannion does coming in off being a QB coach for Love in Green Bay. I mean, I'm optimistic. Howie Roseman's been a great GM. I've got full confidence that he can really make things work. Specific players to bring in, I really couldn't tell you, man. Like this last year, I don't really know.
Yeah.
I'm not super up to date, but I know that we can make a push. I think we'll be a consistent playoff team pretty much every year, but we just need to, I think, get a couple more pieces and we're ready for the Super Bowl again.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, as a Seattle fan, when you win the Super Bowl and then you go through 10 years of being a consistent playoff team, it does kind of suck because when you're stuck in that mediocre realm, think about the Pittsburgh Steelers, right? They stink because they never stink enough. They're never bad enough that they're really able to
They don't pick a
take everything
lane.
apart. Yeah. Yeah. I think as, if I were a Philly fan, I wouldn't want to be in that perpetual cycle of mediocrity. If you were to trade AJ Brown, what would you want to trade him for? And what would you want to replace him with? Because the other day, I kind of tried to prank Jackson by telling him that the Eagles traded Brown, but it was actually Sidney Brown. If they were to
Yeah,
trade AJ
basically the
Brown,
same talent.
yeah. What do you think? What would be a good return for AJ Brown? And then how would you kind of patch that hole and give Jalen Hurts that weapon that you were talking about?
I honestly think it's. I mean, AJ Brown's value is not what it was, but I feel like we can definitely, if we can get someone good in the draft, I think we can get a good draft receiver. Honestly, who that is, I mean, could be a bunch of guys. There's endless talent that you can really develop, and you find people late in the draft that ended up being great. As long as you don't make a goof like Jalen Rager again, I think we can really find some some good talent in any of our top picks, right? But I think it's got to
Oh
come
dear.
from the draft. If we can get some high picks, I mean, I don't even want like a couple. I think just a good pick and then maybe some random pick in there too to kind of bolster up the deal. But I think just a solid high pick to get the talent we need. I think we've got backups, we've got whatever the depth, but we need the guy.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right. I think the draft is the place to look. But for a little bit of reference, the last time that AJ Brown was traded, that pick was used to draft Traylon Burks, and that did not exactly pan out. And so you have to avoid doing that. And if you're staring at Justin Jefferson and Jalen Rager and you pick Jalen Rager again, then jobs are lost. Fool
Yeah.
me once, shame on me, but fool me twice, that's a big problem.
That's how he's getting in talks, getting in hot water. That
Yeah.
happens again.
The other reference that I'll point you to was the DK Metcalf trade, because I think AJ Brown and DK Metcalf have been on a similar career trajectory since they've been drafted. The two big Bill Ole Miss receivers that were really, really good. So I think DK Metcalf fetching a second round pick in trade. Do we think that AJ
Mhm.
Brown is worth more than DK Metcalf? Because I think that DK Metcalf leaving Seattle was a more favorable trade piece than AJ Brown would be leaving Philly right now.
I think at the
I want to hear
time for
both of you
sure.
guys' thoughts on the value of AJ Brown.
I feel like his value is not what DK's was. I mean, DK. I mean, that was last year. That's 1 year less. But I also feel like DK can have a higher ceiling than AJ. Has he shown to have a higher ceiling? I don't know. I feel like AJ has shown to be a little bit more consistent, but at the same time, that consistency can when you can't really break through anymore, or when you have kind of a down season, it's hard to keep that value. But I mean, I think that it'd be similar value, honestly. I think if you can get a good second round pick out of it, and something else thrown in there, I think that's honestly solid. They had pretty similar value, I'd say.
What do you think, Adam?
I think that the only reason that DK had more trade value is he was not viewed as a pseudo locker room cancer. Like DK was always going to be a leader in Seattle. He was that guy. He was going to take over the Tyler Lockett role as being a leader. With all of the controversy that AJ Brown has been over the last 2 years, whether it's the fight with Sirianni on the sideline or reading the book while we should be probably drawing up some plays for the next drive, I think that his value is going to be less than what it actually should be. If you're going to take AJ Brown at face value as a player, sure, he's a little slower than DK Metcalf, but I think he's got better hands. I think he's got better jump ball ability. I think he probably would have been a 16 or 1700-yard receiver every year if he stayed in Tennessee. However, in a offense that is not predicated on pushing the ball deep down the field every play, on a offense that you're going to run, pass, you're going to have Saquon Barkley in there getting 50% of the load. Jalen Hurts is going to get the other 20% of the load. And then you've got what? 3 or 4 passes a drive. One of those is going to go to Devontae Smith. The other one is going to go. Did they re-sign Goddard or did he go
Yeah, they
somewhere
re-signed
else?
him.
One of those is going to go to Goddard. You've got one pass for AJ Brown every drive. Why wouldn't you just trade that off and get a second round pick? The other thing I was going to talk about, but I couldn't pull it up in time, was the depth, like Jackson was talking about, of draft for wide receivers
It's a
this year
great
versus
wide
last
receiver
year.
draft.
This is one of the best wide receiver drafts we have seen in a very long time. I have it pulled up now. Carnell Tate, fantastic. Jordan Tyson, fantastic. Makai Lemon, fantastic. Denzel Boston, fantastic. Omar Cooper, I'm not too high on, but could be a wide receiver too. Could be fantastic to play on the other side of Devontae Smith. Zachariah Branch has that track speed. You've got two
Very
guys
fast.
that can move if they're on that outside. Casey Conception, fantastic hands, great route runner. Chris Brazel II, fantastic hands, great route runner. Now we're running out of people here, but you've got deep steals in the draft here, like Chris Bell, Jacoby Lane, Elijah Surratt, Antonio Williams, Bryce Lance out of North Dakota State isn't a horrible wide receiver prospect. Versus last year, there wasn't a lot. There might have been 3 or 4 names that were like, oh, yeah, that guy could be a wide receiver right now. I just listed off probably 7 or 8 that could slide into a wide receiver 2 spot and be okay and be more than serviceable and not have the questions of, well, is this guy going to play for us or is he going to give up? The dropped passes at the end of the season were errant. I don't remember what the stat was, but I think it was like 15% of the passes that were thrown his way dropped on him. Not an errant ball, not great coverage. Hit his hands and went through. Wide receiver, you've got to receive the ball. I just don't think he's worth what he's getting paid either. I hate to sound like the contract man, episode 1, but man, they are paying him way too much and investing way too much time and energy into trying to get him to be an Eagle when he is so evidently not an Eagle. Get him out of the locker room. That is where I would start. First and foremost, you cannot have that team that just won a Super Bowl and there with a guy saying, oh, yeah, this team sucks, or I'm not getting enough targets. The reason we're losing is not getting enough targets. Buddy, the ball hit you in the hands and you dropped it.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
And this past year, I was a Saquon Barkley owner in fantasy, and Saquon Barkley was a great fantasy running back until the weeks. There was 2 or 3 weeks that AJ Brown just made about him, and it reflected in fantasy points. Saquon Barkley went from putting up 30 the week before to 6, and it's like, what happened? And you look at AJ Brown, and he's got like 20 points. That's interesting. Okay, so you're either going to have a great game from your receiver, a great game from your running back. The wins that the Eagles had were when Saquon was at his best, not when AJ Brown was at his best. Those weeks where AJ Brown decided to be a diva reflected in the win-loss column, and you can't have that. That's not what you want in a leader. And Adam, I agree with almost everything you said, except for the DK Metcalf part, because DK Metcalf was never a leader. DK Metcalf was, at points, he was an Achilles heel in our team. And I think there's a reason that the year we ship him off is the year we win the Super Bowl, because he was constantly getting in fights. He was constantly getting stupid personal fouls that cost our team big drives. And the big difference between him and Jackson Smith and Jigba is personality. JSN is a gifted receiver, but he's not 6'4", 230 running a 4.3. That's not JSN's game. But because he's always on the field, he's always available, and he's reliable, it won us a Super Bowl. JSN, I was also a JSN owner in fantasy. And there were weeks where JSN wasn't the focal point of the offense, and guess what? Seattle still won. And guess who wasn't crying on the sideline or in the press conferences? JSN. And so I absolutely agree with you that I think if I was in, Jackson's shoes as this fictitious GM of the Philadelphia Eagles, I think an AJ Brown trade would absolutely be something that I would do. And I think a third round pick would get me answering the phone.
Yeah, for sure. I think you're totally right on that. Honestly, the being a locker room pariah and a diva is almost worse than being bad at football. I
I would say
mean,
that it is worse. I would say that it's worse. I would rather have a dude who's got
Especially with that
skills for
amount of money,
hands.
like what are you crying about,
Yeah.
bro? You're
like
going to be
nowadays,
feeding your
I
great
don't know if we're gonna start
grandkids.
seeing a shift in some of these things because, like, we've seen the decline of running back contracts and the uptick in wide receivers just making just ludicrous money. And I think it's getting even more to their heads. So I don't know. We might even see some sort of shift in that as we see, like you were saying, JSN doesn't need to have the biggest game for them to win, but AJ Brown has a big game because he wants all the targets, and all of a sudden, we can't move the ball. So I don't know. Might start seeing a change in that because it's starting to become more of a pattern. I feel like in the NFL.
At a certain point with AJ Brown, it's like we have to have a serious conversation. If you want to stay on this team, we need you to tone it down. Like, there's no reason that you need to be telling me, the head coach, how to do my job. You are paid to go out there and catch the football when it's thrown to you and make a play. And we pay you a lot of money to do that. This isn't about status. This isn't about fame. This isn't about glory. This is about you doing your job. And you make a lot of money. Like, most people would give anything to be in his position. And yet he's finding faults in his job. We can't have that. If you take a step back out of the realm of sports, because, you do want your guys to, do well and, be this awesome guy. Like, as a Seahawks fan, it was great to have JSN be like the face of the wide receivers. As a BYU fan, it was great to have Puka Nacua up there too. But winning is better. Winning is absolutely better. And if you're not doing your job, why should we pay you? And if you're complaining about how I do my job as your manager, why do you need to work for me? Go work for somebody that will put up with that. The Eagles are a great organization they're in a Super Bowl window. We just saw them win the Super Bowl less than 2 years ago. I think that they need to either have a serious conversation with him about, hey, look, we love your talent. We love having you around, but we just can't put up with this for much longer.
Can't have your cake and eat it too, AJ.
I don't think Sirianni's going to be the one to say that, though. Sirianni has defended him the entire time. And it said,
Yeah.
no, AJ Brown is great. He's fantastic. We don't have any issues. We're buddies like that. We're friends. They're evidently not. I think Harry Roseman is one of the greatest GMs that the NFL has ever seen ever. I mean, he was an accountant, and he thinks like an accountant when he is a NFL GM. Nick is not going to do it. Nick is not going to be the one to say, AJ, you've got to lock in, man. Something has to change because we have seen time in and time out Nick go out there and tell everyone, tell the world, no, we're friends, we're buddies. AJ and I are really close. We're real good pals. He doesn't hate me when he evidently hates him. I just don't think Nick is going to be the one to do that. I think that their only choice is to get rid of him, or they're going to say, hey, Nick, you need to grow a backbone here and have this conversation. But I don't think Nick is going to be the one to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think with the state that this wide receiver draft is, like, I think
He's
you're going to find a
expendable,
guy.
honestly.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's no reason
yeah.
to keep him.
Expendable is a great word. Like we can do better. We can make our team better by freeing up that money and gaining draft capital. And then you can draft one of those guys that Adam read out, those late round gems. That I think if Jalen Reagor as a prospect, not as an NFL player, as a prospect was in this draft, I think he would be closer to the talent that he actually panned out at. Maybe like a fourth round guy. I think that all of these prospects are better than Reagor was as a prospect, but because that was a weak wide receiver class, I think he was inflated because wide receiver is a valuable position that people love to take in the first round, even if they aren't exactly first round caliber guys. In this draft, you're going to find a guy that you can't exactly mess up with. Reagor was a guy that you had to put him in the perfect position, and it just didn't end up working out. But there are guys in this class that you can take and you can develop into a wide receiver too that's gonna match Devonta Smith's skill set or complement it. That will
Hmm.
make your offense great, and you'll be able to put Jalen Hurts in a position where he can prove why he was a Super Bowl winning, Super Bowl MVP quarterback, even though he had a down year because of the drama of the offense and
Hmm.
horrific play calling from Patullo.
Yeah, Patullo was, man, worse than my offensive coordinator, and that says a lot.
Yeah, I mean the Eagles aren't the type of team that you really need to have the biggest star in the league as a receiver. You need to have a functional guy that can work with the system, work with what we got, because it's not exactly a run of the mill system that's the same as every other team or a more pass heavy team. You just need a guy who will run his routes, who will catch his balls, be consistent. Who won't take all the money from the people that actually run the system.
I love it. All right. We'll move on to the Seattle Seahawks. Reigning Super Bowl champions, in case anybody forgot, one of the greatest defenses of all time. Let's talk about the Seattle Seahawks. Adam, you brought up Jalen Milroe earlier, and I think that that's a very interesting piece of information because I remember when the Seahawks drafted Milroe, I was actually pretty excited because, there was still some questions about, is Sam Darnold going to be able to repeat what he did in Minnesota? The answer ended up being yes, but there were some scary moments in there. 0 touchdown, 4 interception game against the Rams the first time we played them that had everybody in the fan base questioning, is Sam Darnold cut out for the big moments? Answer ended up being yes. Faces the Rams again, has a stinky first half, but then brings it together for an all-time great second half. And then throughout the playoffs, he faced two division rivals, fantastic teams, fantastic defenses. 0 turnovers from Darnold in the playoffs against the 49ers. Great defense, injured, yes, still great. Won a lot of games off of that defense. The Rams, they turned over Sam Darnold 6 times the regular season, 0 interceptions. And then the Patriots had a top 5 defense in the league. And Christian Gonzalez played fantastic, but 0 turnovers from Sam Darnold. I think Darnold is a great game manager, but he's getting paid a lot of money. You know, I can kind of quote Adam as the contract man, but Sam Darnold signed to a 3-year deal. And I think that if you play out that contract, this is what we got 3-year, 100 million. That's pretty cheap for quarterbacks, but that's still a lot of money when you have so many guys to pay. Jackson Smith just signed a $42 million a year extension. I think if we let that contract play out and then hand the baton over to Jalen Milroe after he has some time to develop, I'd be pretty interested to see how that offense could work. The offensive coordinator we just hired was Fleury of the 49ers. He was a tight end coach. That I don't know how well a Jalen Milroe style quarterback would work in that offense, but we just watched, a one and done offensive coordinator in Seattle get picked up as a head coach. That, if the same thing happens again, like Clint Kubiak to the Raiders, if Fleury ends up getting hired as a head coach, I wonder if we see somebody maybe from Baltimore, that has experience with Lamar Jackson, or somebody from Philly, hopefully not Patullo, that has experience with a Hurt style offense. Maybe Milroe is going to be the next guy, the next mobile quarterback that's going to be turning heads and making flashy plays. But the other theory I remember, this is going to be a very interesting kind of tangent because I don't want to spend too much time entertaining this theory, but I remember when Milroe was drafted, the thoughts that a lot of Seattle fans had was a Taysom Hill style player. Uh, I don't know how I feel about that, but Milroe has the skills for it. Adam, you're kind of shaking your head and laughing a little bit. I'm curious what you think about that.
I think that Jalen Milroe is too good of a quarterback to be a Taysom Hill style guy. I think that his ability to throw the deep ball and have the intermediary routes, can hit those consistently. I think that you would be silly to run him out there and catch passes and block and potentially hurt himself as much as Taysom Hill does for what? Like, what does that gain you? Something they did in Baltimore a few years ago with the RG3, the Lamar Jackson and
Mark Ingram,
Mark
are you talking about the
Ingram.
Heisman package?
Yeah, like that's what I saw when he got drafted was, oh, that's what they're gonna do with him. They're gonna, have two quarterbacks kind of play out there and have one for the read, one for the option. That's cool in college, but that doesn't work in the NFL.
Yeah.
What are you
Yeah.
going to do? Convert him to tight end? It just doesn't make any sense. If you're going to do that with someone, it's going to be Taylon Green from Arkansas from this year's draft. It's not going to be Jalen Milroe, who almost won a national championship as a quarterback, not a gadget. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
I like how Travis Hunter has revolutionized the ability to play two positions or do multiple things on the football field. But Jalen Milroe is a quarterback. He's not a running back. He's not Lamar. He's Jalen Milroe. He can pass pretty consistently. And I don't think there is any reason to have him go out there and potentially injure himself doing something that's not his
Oh,
bag.
yeah. Yeah. I get you on that. And that's why I didn't want to take too much time talking about the theory because I think it's a little bit silly, but I love Sam Darnold, but Jalen Milroe is a very exciting prospect at quarterback. And I'm really excited to see how he pans out after being behind a Super Bowl champion quarterback, getting that experience because it's exciting. It's very exciting when you have somebody like that. I can't imagine how Packers fans felt, being disappointed about, the Jordan Love thing. But then when he finally takes the reins, he's been very good. He's led them to the playoffs and he was very good. Milroe, the time that we did see him where they kind of trotted him out as like a gadget player, he fumbled and it was a big deal when that happened. And so, I hope that that's not what his future is because I think he does have a lot more upside as a quarterback than 26-year-old BYU Taysom Hill had coming out of college as a UDFA. I think Milroe as a third round pick, and yeah, he was flashy at Bama. He had some beautiful throws, but also a lot of mobility. That yeah, I think he's not Lamar. I think he has a better arm. There's a lot of upside there. I think if you let him develop, it'll be exciting.
He's on a 4-year, $6.36 million contract. He's under team control for 4 years, and he was drafted in the first round, right? He was a first round
Mm,
guy,
he
so he's got
Milroe?
that.
He's a third round.
Oh,
Milro's a
Milroe
third
okay.
was a
round.
third rounder.
He's a third rounder, so he doesn't have that 5th-year option, but he's under team control for 3 more years, and that's a big baseball thing. Is hey, well, let's keep him in the farm. Let's let him develop. He's not getting paid. He And he probably won't ask that much since he doesn't have that prior experience after his first contract. When his first contract is up, you re-sign him for 3, 4 years for another maybe 7 to 12 million, and he's ready to go. And he's ready to be your franchise quarterback for 4 years until you give him a big time extension. I think is the route that you go.
Yeah. And the other point I wanted to get to, especially about like the gadget idea, is I mean, Seattle obviously is in a Super Bowl window. You have one of the all-time great defenses that we've ever seen. You have one of the best wide receiver seasons we've ever seen in JSN. I don't know why you would want a Taysom Hill guy in your offense when you just proved that you can win a Super Bowl without it. What have the Saints won with Taysom Hill? I love Taysom Hill, one of my favorite players in the league because I think it's so cool what he does. I don't get what the benefit is. I don't see it. Anyways, the big thing that I'm curious about with Seattle, and if I were the GM, running back would be my first priority. Kenneth Walker to the Chiefs is a big deal. You just lose a Super Bowl MVP. Personally, I'm glad that we didn't pay Kenneth Walker what the Chiefs paid him because that's a lot of money. $15 million a year for a running back. That's more than Saquon Barkley's earning. And Saquon Barkley is a game changer that K9 can be, but Saquon has it because he's proven it. Now, like I mentioned, the offensive coordinator that Seattle just brought in is a tight ends coach. And tight end, when you're thinking about a tight end based offense, I think you're thinking about running the ball and then blocking. You're focusing on the offensive line. It's that smash mouth football that, Dan Campbell as a tight end himself, you're thinking about that kind of offense. But Seattle doesn't exactly have a starting running back right now. Charbonnet tore his ACL at the end of the year. We don't know when he's going to be back. We presume that he's going to be the starter when he's healthy, but when is he going to be healthy? There's question marks. Will he be there for even the trade deadline? The big thing I'm sad about is that Seattle let Tyler Algier go to the Cardinals for so cheap. Tyler Algier signed a very small contract. I don't have it pulled up, Adam. If you could pull that up for me, the Tyler Algier contract, I think he's making like $3 to $6 million a year. That's nothing with the modern salary cap.
2 year, 12.25 million, 8 million in guaranteed, 5 with a bonus.
I don't see why Seattle couldn't match that offer. But there's a lot of guys in the draft that, are very enticing that I would love to see somebody get developed.
Like
I'm
who?
pulling them up right now. I mean, obviously, Jeremiah Love is not falling to pick 32. Is he going to fall to pick 4? We don't know about that. But the other Notre Dame running back, Price, I think
Darian
that he
Price.
has a lot of potential. I think if you bring in a guy, they brought in Emmanuel Wilson from the Packers. Adam, you're an NFC North guy. You're probably more familiar with this game than I am. Is he, your type of week 1 starter?
No.
No,
No.
no. What do you think? What do you think Wilson brings as a Seattle Seahawk?
600 yards on the ground, 8 touchdowns, which isn't horrible, but you have him in goal line sets or pass catching sets. My comp for him would be 2021 Jerick McKinnon for the Chiefs. He's going to be in there to be in the backfield and catch the ball and run his routes. I don't see Emmanuel Wilson being a running back 1 for a team that just won the Super Bowl, especially when that team won that game because of their running back.
Mm-hmm.
You have to think, how many of these JSN yards do they get because we commit so much personnel to stopping Kenneth Walker on first and second down? How many of these touchdowns did they get on the offense outside of Kenneth Walker because of how much people we committed to stopping that run? You don't have a guy you're like, oh yeah, we have the game plan for him. They'll probably bring in 3 shells each game when they're playing him now because you just got to have 2 people on JSN every route. You don't have to commit to the run like they were committing to the run in this last year in Seattle because you've got, not Kenneth Walker. Kenneth Walker was dominant throughout his entire career, high school, both at Michigan and Michigan State. Like, he is a dog. He's a demon. You get him in I form, he's busting
K9's
out.
got that dog in him.
It's true. I don't remember what he averaged per run, but it was well above league average. I just don't see that being the guy with Wilson. I don't think that that'll happen.
Yeah, and I had a lot of question marks because, you bring in a running back like 2 or 3 even to be your running back 1, like that's scary. That's scary. But the thing that K9 brought to the table that, I'm looking for in the draft is the ability to move as soon as you're given the ball and to find that gap. Because there's guys, Charbonnet on the Seahawks is one of those guys. You hand him the ball and you run straight. He's hoping that his blockers make a gap for him. Kenneth Walker was able to find that gap. He was shifting, if somebody blows up an offensive lineman and is about to grab him in the backfield, Canaan's able to shift and get around those guys with not only his speed, but his footwork. And I know that Wilson doesn't have that, but is there anybody in the draft that has that? That's my question. And John Schneider is absolutely a general manager that I trust to find those guys. One of my favorite Seattle Seahawks of all time was a 7th round pick out of Oklahoma State, Chris Carson. Loved that man. It's a shame that, injuries took him out as fast as they did. But I absolutely have full confidence in John Schneider to do it. But if I am the GM, I'm looking at one of these Penn State running backs. Penn State has 2 running back prospects in an Allen that I think both have the kind of mobility that you're looking for to get there. Obviously Singleton being the starter there is who I would lean towards. But if neither of those guys are a fit, then I am looking at Price, the backup behind Love in Notre Dame, to be that guy to fill in that kind of shiftiness. And one of the things I like about Price is that he was kind of a jack of all trades. When I watched his film, there was kick return clips in there. And it's like, okay, Charbonnet is, knuckles to the Sonic. If you bring in a guy like Price, he can be that Sonic. He can be the speed, like Gibbs and Montgomery in Detroit. That's something that I'm looking for is I like complementary football, not, trying to get two guys that are exactly the same. So if I am the GM of the Seattle Seahawks, the first thing I'm doing is I'm bringing in a running back to hold us over until Charbonnet is ready to take over as the RB1, whether that's finding another free agent that's out there. Jeremiah Ford is another guy that I would love for the Seahawks to look closer at. But if not, through free agency, hopefully the draft. But then the next thing I'm doing is making sure that we sign our defense. Not everybody on the defense, I think, is worthy of a contract. They're all worthy of the contract. They're Super Bowl champions and they're all great. But Woolen was a guy that I was ready to say goodbye to. Jackson, you're getting a fantastic player. 6'4", runs a 4.2. Are you kidding me?
Yeah,
That's fantastic. Those are things that are built in a
just a
lab. The
physical beast.
character concerns. I still think about what could have happened if Seattle did not win that NFC championship. Woolen would have been public enemy number one in Seattle because of that taunting penalty and then getting burnt by Nakua for the 40-yard touchdown. If we don't recover from that, the Rams are holding a Lombardi laughing at us. I hate the Rams. And if we had let them win that Super Bowl because of Woolen taunting, it's over. However, the guys that I do think are worthy of contract, I'm signing Devin Witherspoon to an extension right now. We didn't wait for JSN. Why would we wait for Witherspoon? Witherspoon has proven to be one of the best corners in the league, and he's not only an outside cornerback, but he can also play inside at your joker spot. He's a great slot receiver. He's dang near a linebacker playing corner. That's unheard of. You don't have guys like that can make those kind of tackles in the box, but also play the boundaries. So I'm signing Devin Witherspoon to an extension right now. And I'm dang near handing him a blank check. Like, however much you want, you deserve. Because he's the one that made that play to save us from the Rams winning the Super Bowl. So, yeah, those are the things I'm doing. I'm bringing in a running back, and I'm paying our defense. Anything that you guys would add?
What would you do at your long-term solution for Leonard Williams? Because he's 31 and he's not getting any younger. Like he's fantastic this year, no doubt. Great addition, but he's not going to continue to do that. Hey, it's a defensive end position where you're reliant on speed and, outside of Myles Garrett and maybe TJ Watt, you don't have guys that are consistently staying at that edge that they have. What
Yeah.
do you do with Leonard Williams long term?
Yeah, Leonard Williams, him and DeMarcus Lawrence are in a similar position, I think, where they're, aging superstars that are so good. And both of those guys are absolutely crucial pieces to winning the Super Bowl. Without Leonard Williams and without DeMarcus Lawrence, you don't win a Super Bowl. But I'm making sure that they get what they want to stay in Seattle for as long as they can and as long as their bodies allow. Because there's a lot of question marks about potentially both of those guys retiring because those are both veterans that have been dominating the league for as long as they've been here that finally won their Super Bowl. You think maybe they ride off into the sunset. They don't. You got to keep them around. My replacement, specifically for Leonard Williams, since you ask, is already on the team, and that's Riley Mills. If you watch the Super Bowl, one of the highlights of that Super Bowl was a guy that hadn't even played all year, a rookie that was on IR pretty much until the Super Bowl. And that highlight was him running through the offensive guard while still being blocked by that guard, sacking Drake May with one arm. Riley Mills was a later round pick that fell because of injury in college that I think had he not faced that injury, he's being drafted a lot higher and he's starting day one. He didn't because he was injured. We got a great deal on him. It's kind of like he was a fixer-upper project that has shown what he's capable of. And I think that developing him under those veterans, under DeMarcus Lawrence, under Leonard Williams, who you mentioned edge rushers with speed. Leonard Williams was more of a D tackle in the Seattle system because we play with the 4-down lineman set. We had Mafe and a Hall on the edges with Nwosu and Lawrence kind of as those rotational pieces. We rotate the edge a lot, but down the middle we had Williams, Reed, and Murphy. And I think Mills will be a great piece to kind of sub in for Reed and Williams once they both retire, and then you kind of draft and develop more guys behind that or sign a veteran. But Mills is my long-term replacement for Williams because I think he fits that mold. He's not exactly one-to-one. He doesn't have the same speed or strength, but I think those are things that can be developed because he's really young. And I think that confidence boost of having probably the most dominant play of the Super Bowl as a guy who hadn't even played all year, his first NFL sack being a double team sack in the Super Bowl, that's a pretty awesome morale boost that you can really develop a career out of, I think. So that's what I'm doing to replace that piece when it's time. As GM of the Seahawks, if I'm GM of the Seahawks, there's not a lot we need to do because this team has proven that it can win the Super Bowl, and I don't think that we lost enough pieces to be considered an afterthought. I think that we have the depth because we really rotated most of our defense all year. There were injuries in the secondary where you brought in UDFAs like Ty Okada and D'Anthony Bell, and they held their own. And so I think that there's enough pieces there that really the only things I'm looking at are signing our defense and bringing in a piece at running back to hold us over until Charbonnet is ready to take a majority of the load once he's recovered. So that's what I'm doing if I'm GM of the Seattle Seahawks. Super Bowl champion Seattle Seahawks, by the way. I don't know if I mentioned it.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, I forgot actually. So
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that'll do it for our first half of the show. Ran a little bit longer than I was expecting the first half to go, but hey, it's the intro and we had a lot to talk about. So we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. Welcome back to Ball Knowledge, the podcast. In Ball Knowledge, the podcast, our main goal is to prove that we do, in fact, know ball. And so we're going to put that to the test. We have a collection of some games that we're going to run. Today, we're going to be doing the Immaculate Grid. Immaculate Grid is pretty popular. Most people, I feel like, in the sports world know about the Immaculate Grid. And so we're going to run the NFL Immaculate Grid. Now, the goal with Immaculate Grid is to get the most obscure polls that you can. And I think that is a good way to measure our ball knowledge. So we're going to work together, fill out this grid. I mean, it gives you a percentage of how many people guess that player. So we're going to try to get any under, I'd say, what's a good margin? Like under 20%?
Yeah, I would say so. Being better than a fifth of the population.
There you go. Sweet. So let's start this out. So are there any of these squares that are jumping out to anybody? There's a guy on your mind.
Well, for Broncos, Bears, Brandon Marshall. But I don't have anyone more, I'm working on more obscure, but Brandon Marshall's the first one that comes to mind. But I'm going to guess that he is picked pretty highly.
Yeah. And top left, you got Frank Gore. That's an easy one. Peyton Manning,
but you could do
top
that for
right.
Any of them.
McCaffrey, I'm seeing for Panthers, Niners. Adam Thielen for Panthers, Vikings. There's guys. Was Bridgewater a Panther? Panther Bronco? Panther Viking? Bridgewater was a Panther, right? Because he was a Panther the same time as Sam Darnold, right?
Was he?
he seemed like he could have been, but was
Baker
he not?
Mayfield was a Panther the same time as Sam Darnold.
It's
Fun
true.
fact. Trying to think of defensive guys because that's more my niche.
Yeah, and defense is, I think, where you need to get the better polls.
Yeah, and offensive line. Offensive line is, man, you can get an offensive lineman.
Sam Darnold is another Panther Niner.
Yeah, but I mean, that's probably the first one that's picked. I'm going to guess that's the highest one.
I mean, Thielen. Jay Cutler.
Did Jay Cutler play for the Broncos?
Jay Cutler played for the Broncos before the Bears.
Definitely did.
Before the Bears? Really?
Yeah. Jackson, did you say definitely did or definitely didn't?
I did. He definitely did, right?
Yeah, he did. This one could be, technically could be Elway.
Yeah, but that's going to be picked pretty high.
But I don't think did Elway ever play a game for the Colts? Or was he just drafted by the Colts? How high do we think Jay Cutler would be right here?
Considering he's the first guy you thought of.
No, we were talking about Brandon Marshall.
After Brandon Marshall. He might not be that high.
How many people know about Cutler? I mean, Adam didn't know Cutler.
I did not.
For the Broncos.
I did not know that Jay Cutler played for the Broncos. How long did he play for the Broncos?
2 years?
Really?
3 years? I think the Bears traded for him.
What about Trevor Siemian?
Is he a Bear?
I don't know. I feel like he's a Bear. I feel like he is a Bear. But at the same time, I'm going to be wrong. I'm going to be pissed.
Yeah.
I don't know. Jay Cutler's better than Brandon Marshall.
Brandon Marshall is one of those guys that you can, he's on most grids. So most people think of Brandon Marshall.
Yeah.
because he makes it
Yeah.
onto most grids. I'm going to throw in Cutler and just see what happens.
I think Simeon did play for the Bears.
45%. I do not know ball. That's
What was
high.
Brandon Marshall's then if Jay Cutler got 45%?
I don't know.
There's no way that Jay Cutler was higher than Brandon Marshall, right?
I don't think
I mean,
so.
he's got to
Brandon
be at least
Marshall,
45%.
that's like half.
Golly.
Yeah.
I do not know ball. This is a bad
Where did
showing so
Trevor
far.
Simeon play for the Bears?
Let's see.
No, I don't think so.
Trevor Simeon.
I think he played a
Why did
game. I think he played a game. I think that was the year that they had Kendall Hinton and play quarterback that one year.
So he was a Bronco.
When was he a Bronco? Was he a Bronco?
He was drafted by the Broncos.
Bears
Was he
last
not?
year. He was. Dang, Adam, we should have gone with your QB. Not
Adam
mine.
knows ball. He's a ball knower.
Jay Cutler played for the Broncos, so maybe not
Which is
too much of a ball knower. Man,
One
We
of my
did not know
favorite-
that, but no
Zep
Trevor
Bound again.
Simeon.
Trevor Simeon is that dude, man. He
Don't
was
say
One of my
he just never
favorite-
believed in him.
One of my favorite ball knowledge moments was Jay Cutler on the Dolphins. There was a big push from the community to give, because I think this was the first year that they opened up Pro Bowl voting to the fans.
Yep.
And so Jay Cutler was like the chosen guy where it's like, we all need to just troll the NFL and get Jay Cutler into the Pro Bowl when he was a Dolphin, because he was horrendous with the Dolphins.
They did that
But-
with the Zaza Pachulia the first year that they had the fan vote. Since he's from like Georgia, the country, all of Georgia voted for Zaza Pachulia, and he got an all-star appearance. He was averaging 5.5 and 5. It might not even been 5.5 and 5. It might have been 5.3 and 5. But Zaza Pachulia was an all-star in the NBA because all of Georgia voted for him. And now after that season, they weighted how they, scaled the fan vote. But man,
Zaza sucks so much.
that's what I'm saying, dude. Like, that would be like if they gave you honors out there. Like, what are we doing, man?
I'm not that bad. I'm not
That's
Zaza.
fair. That's fair. No, you're not Zaza Pachulia. You're probably not a
That
dirty
happened in the
player either.
MLB too, the first year that they did fan voting, where like half of the Royals roster they were all stars because of fan voting. I can't remember what year. I think it was like
Series
16.
that year. They won the World Series. Yeah, it was 2016. They won the World Series that year.
But most of those guys were not like all-star quality. Like they were beating out some good dudes.
This
this was halfway through the year. They weren't World Series level yet. Like they still had they had 80 games to go. So same thing.
That's fair.
All
All
right,
right,
let's fill
let's
this
look
grid in.
So Bridgewater can go in these two slots. I know that. Like now that I thought about it, like Bridgewater was definitely a Panther. But Bridgewater is one of those journeyman guys that makes it onto most grids because everybody knows about Teddy Two Gloves. So
Teddy Two Gloves retired from football from Detroit, wearing number 50, went and coached a championship at his alma mater high school in Florida, and then came
got
back
sued
after
for
that.
it.
Yeah, after he got sued. Insane.
he's back on. He's a Buck now, right? He's back on the Bucks.
No, he's a Lion. He's back on the Lions.
Oh, he's back on the Lions.
He's the Lions QB2
Good for
after we
him.
released Hendon Hooker.
Good for him, dude. Because the courts ruled in his favor that like it's totally legal for you to use your money to like give your kids access to sports. Like,
Which
give
it
your
should always
students.
have been. Like, that's
Well, yeah.
crazy. It's not
I
like he
can't
was
believe
paying
he
for
got
players
in
to
trouble
come
for
to his
that.
school. It was, hey, man, you're starving. I'm going to get you food. What?
I'm gonna get you an Uber to come to your game.
I'm going to make sure that you show up to high school to pass your classes so you're academically eligible to play for me.
I'm gonna buy
a
you your
horrible person.
equipment for the sport.
Yeah. What a stupid ruling.
But
And
what
now
an
it's a law. It's
outstanding
the Teddy
citizen.
Bridgewater law in Florida. Like, they
I love
actually
Teddy
made a
Bridgewater,
law.
dude. What
He's a
an
demon.
outstanding citizen. What a great guy. What a great guy. I'm glad that he's made as much money as he has that can use it for the right things.
Right. And we made the right people rich. And the Lions organization.
Heck yeah. All right. What's our first thoughts when we think of a Bear and a Niner? Bear and Niner.
There.
Who was that edge rusher? Wore number 99 in Chicago, and he retired at like 27. I think he was he not a Niner?
Or number 99.
What was his name, dude? He retired like so young. I don't know, ball.
Wait, did Robbie Gold?
Oh, Robbie Gold totally did play
Robbie
for both
Gold,
these teams.
The demon. That's
Robbie
true.
Gold.
Yeah, but he's going to be picked high. Yeah.
Yeah, 43. We set the bar pretty high with 20%. We've doubled that on both of our guesses so far.
I didn't
think how many
think
people would
Jay
get
Cutler
Robbie
was going
Gould.
to be that high.
I didn't think you'd be that high.
How many people do you think guessed Alan Page for the Vikings and Bears?
Ooh. Alan Page played for the Bears?
Alan Page played for the Bears.
1967. 9.
Hey, that is ball knowledge.
I'm trying to think of Vikings Panthers, like outside of Teddy Bridgewater.
Adam Thielen.
Yeah, but like again, we gotta go back.
Or go on defense, like linebackers or depth corners.
Yeah.
This one,
I'm trying to think of where Rock Ya-Sin played.
did Jonathan Stewart play for the Broncos?
The running back?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think so.
Or am I just thinking about the Super Bowl matchup?
I'm trying to think if Shane Ray played for the Carolina Panthers.
The punter?
Shane Ray, the linebacker out of Mizzou.
Oh, no, I'm thinking of... what am I thinking of? I have guys for almost all of these, but I'm trying to think of some obscure... Hey, my bracket is good. UConn just upset Duke.
Dang.
No way.
My bracket lives. What a comeback. They were down by like 13 when I checked with like
Holy
5
crap.
minutes left.
Wow. Yeah, that's a game I was looking forward to.
Oh my gosh, my bracket is saved. They won by 1 on a buzzer beater.
Oh, are you kidding me?
Boys, look at that.
Wow.
I got all my picks right in the Elite 8, except for I had Florida advancing through there.
Dang.
Now I just need U of A to beat Michigan.
Which they
back to the
will.
grid. They will. Adam doesn't think so.
I don't think so.
Who is stopping Toby Awaka?
Bryce James.
That's
Bryce
real.
James.
Bryce James. Paige always puts up, hyping up the teams, like who's going to win. And every time they do U of A, like U of A against this team, like, oh, this team is great. And then, but U of A. And they always show like the top players, Bryce James, and they just keep going.
Yeah, Bryce
Always
James,
throw
who
Bryce
has
James.
played like 5 minutes all year. Yeah.
0 minutes. 0 minutes.
He didn't check
He
in
has
for
not
one game?
touched the court. No.
Did you see that video where he took all his stuff off and ran up to the cameras like he had played?
I know, I didn't see that.
And you know he's going
What
to
a
get drafted
guy.
in the second round by the Lakers.
My
No, I think
gosh.
I think he's better than Bronny. Like, unironically, I think he's better than Bronny if he develops. But like,
He's got
I'm
ceiling.
going to save most of this discussion for when we do a basketball episode.
you're right. Lock in.
But I keep seeing that in an expansion draft, the Sonics would take Bronny. And that scares me a little bit because all I know about Bronny is that he's not that good.
I mean, he's gonna set records in the G League. He put up 40 points in the G League yesterday.
Wow.
He's a freak. They just don't give him enough like minutes. If they gave him minutes, he would be a replacement level player. He's not horrible. He's just
You can develop him.
Yeah, he's not LeBron. Stephon Gilmore for both the Vikings Colts and Vikings Panthers. I just thought about that. But Stephon Gilmore.
I didn't know
can go
Gilmore
in
played for the
both.
Panthers.
Yep.
But Daniel
where
Jones
he's-
could go right here.
Yeah, but that's going to be a ridiculously easy pull.
Do you think we go Gilmore here?
Go Gilmore for the Panthers Vikings. It's going to be less. I don't know.
3. Whew. Good thing we went from on the Panthers. I didn't know he played for the Panthers. I knew he played
Yep.
for the Colts.
Yep.
I'm missing being on the Panthers.
He was not great. He was not great.
I keep going back to Jonathan Stewart for some reason on Panthers Broncos.
Why? Why do you do that? Why do
I
you
don't
go
think
back
Stewart
to Jonathan
played for the
Stewart?
Broncos. Colt Bronco not named Peyton Manning.
What an odd pipeline.
You know, you have Elway, but I don't
Did
know if
Elway play
ever-
a game?
I don't think he ever played a game for the Colts.
What do we think about Laquan Treadwell for the Colt Viking?
That's a poll. If correct, that's a poll. Holy.
All right, I've used up
Man.
all of my knowledge for NFC North. I'm going to be useless on the rest of this.
Yeah, thank you for the NFC North ones. I
Yeah.
should be able to get these NFC West ones, but I'm only thinking of like Pierre Garçon for the top left and McCaffrey. For some reason, I'm really struggling to get ones outside of that.
I mean, Sam Darnold for Panthers.
Yeah,
Niners.
Sam Darnold, but that's a Super Bowl winning quarterback. We all know
Yeah.
about his career
Didn't-
trajectory.
Yeah.
Man, I'm trying to think of like defensive polls.
Where else did Mike White play?
Who did Charvarius Ward play for this year?
Dude, Charvarius Ward. That's
Wow.
correct.
Wow. That's a good
But
one.
that
I
might
think
be
that's gonna
pretty
the
high.
second highest pick. Now that I think
Did he
about
play
that.
for the Colts?
Yes.
Yeah, he played for the Colts.
I don't know
this
why
year.
that came onto my brain.
He played for the Colts this year, and I think he won a Pro Bowl vote for it. Now that doesn't mean a lot, but I think he got a Pro Bowl
Yeah.
nod because he played so well.
Here's a piece of ball knowledge. Charvarius Ward My first impression of him was when he was on the Chiefs.
Damon.
And, well, we sauced him up in prime time. I believe it was Doug Baldwin just wrecked him, like ruined his day.
Well, I mean,
He
yeah.
a little memory, his rookie year. Yeah, Charvarius Ward's a good pull. I'm just concerned that that's going to be a Jay Cutler, Robbie Gould level.
Probably.
We've gotten 2, 3, and 9.
Yeah.
We got some room.
Yeah. Do we think because of recency bias, Charvarius Ward would be higher than Pierre Garçon?
Yeah, Pierre Garçon's probably a better low-end pick.
Should we just send it? Jason Pierre-Paul, that's a fun name to keep in mind.
What a firecracker.
Yeah, what an explosive player that guy is. 4. I thought that'd be much higher.
What a
4 on Pierre Garçon. That's a good
Wow.
player to be that obscure of a poll.
Yeah.
Wow. I was bracing
good
for like
player.
a 25.
I don't know a lot about the Colts. I'm going to be honest. I'm not a big. Do the Baltimore Colts count for this?
Yeah,
Probably.
because
Okay.
the Indianapolis Colts own the Baltimore Colts history.
All right.
It was the Browns that became the Ravens, but the Ravens gave them their history back when when the Browns came back.
Oh, hello, FanDuel.
Another one. All the Super Bowl ads were AI, gambling, Ozempic.
Yeah, gambling's taking over
Yeah.
sports. It's unfortunate. I say as a gambler, but it's okay.
You are a big gambler.
I know. Yeah, it's true.
Is it paying
Let's take
off?
a gamble right here. Let's go for Willie Green for the Broncos and Panthers.
Willie Green.
Willie
I'm sure that's
Green.
a guy. I'm seeing Willie Brown. Tell me about this guy before I put this in.
I don't think he played for the Panthers, I'm going to be honest. But I don't think we have a better shot.
Who is he? Who is this guy?
Willie Green was a demon in Denver. That's all I remember. I heard about him from my dad. My dad was a Chiefs fan his entire life, and he told me that Willie Green wasn't the nicest guy to his Chiefs.
I think we can definitely find a Bronco Panther because, I mean, this is a team that had one of the most legendary Super Bowls of our lifetimes.
Yeah, feels like
There's
going to
be a guy that we can think of.
I was thinking of Shane Wright, but I don't think he went to Carolina. I know for sure he didn't go to Carolina.
Antonio Rogers Cromartie never played for the Broncos.
ARC for
the Broncos, because I know one thing. I know he finished his career his last year with the Colts.
What about Dominique though?
He finished his career with the Bills when he retired at halftime after signing with them.
That was Dominique Rogers Cromartie? I thought that was somebody else. No, I don't think so. I think that was somebody else. Dominique
was definitely a Cromartie.
Yeah, DRC did not retire at halftime. I know who you're talking about.
I think I said it wrong. It's just Antonio Cromartie, not Antonio Rogers Cromartie.
Dominique? Oh, no.
Yeah, on an Instagram post. I thought you were talking about the guy that retired mid-game from the Bills.
Yeah, now who was that?
I think he was a defensive end or a D tackle.
It was a cornerback.
Was it really?
Vontae Davis.
Where
am I?
And that's a Colt.
Yeah, he said, "Yeah, I'm not going to play for this team," and that was it. Didn't say, "Hey, agent, can you get me traded?" Just, I'm done. It he was well within the trade deadline.
After being on the Colts for so long, who had some of the worst defense of 2010s.
It was week 2.
Yeah, he had more than an ample time to get over, and say, "Hey, man, I don't want to play for this team."
One of the craziest stories that I can recall in my NFL fandom. That was a lot of memes about that moment.
Antonio did it too. Antonio took off his.
He ripped off his shirt to do it.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. Wow, what a guy!
I was at the game when Earl Thomas played his last game for the Seahawks. It was in the middle of a contract dispute. He decided to suck it up and play. Mm-hmm. And then in week 4, the Seahawks go to Arizona and he breaks his leg. He's getting carted off the field and he flips off Pete Carroll. That famous moment. I was there when that happened.
Because Pete Carroll did nothing wrong.
I mean, made him play when he was unhappy with his contract. So that's what he was mad about. But that was another crazy moment.
My boss made me do my job even when I'm not getting enough money, but I signed up for this job.
And I've made a ridiculous amount of money.
Come on. Let's
more
be
with
honest.
the Ravens.
All right.
Was it Earl Thomas or Josh Norman that Derrick Henry turned into his lead blocker?
It was Earl Thomas.
I miss Josh Norman.
It was Josh Norman?
Man.
No, he said he missed him.
It wasn't. No, yeah, I miss him.
Josh Norman. That would go in.
Did he play for the Broncos?
No.
Did he play for the 49ers?
No. He was a Panther.
Yeah, but where's he going to fit on this
Hey,
grid?
you know who could have gone in this slot? Xavier Rhodes. But Laquan Treadwell's definitely a better poll, but Xavier Rhodes was a cult.
The Quan Treadmill.
He was going to be the greatest wide receiver prospect of all time, but he like literally never panned out, which is crazy. But I mean, he's still playing now, though. Fun fact: his
Yeah,
last year was with the Vikings. He's with the Vikings currently. He just got paid by the Vikings for $1 million, but still.
Hey, dude, I'd take a milli to do nothing, sit on the bench
I
and
mean-
watch football games on the sidelines.
Yeah, the NASA Antetokounmpo. Man,
All right, let's lock in. Was Bridgewater a Bronco? Yes, right?
yeah.
He's going to be pretty high.
Do we want to just pull Josh Norman for the San Francisco Panthers one?
Was he a Niner? I don't think he was ever a Niner.
I think he was a Niner.
Didn't he play with the
feel like I
Niners
remember
before he
that.
played with Carolina?
No. He was drafted to
He
Carolina.
was drafted.
Okay.
I thought he was drafted by Carolina and then went to Washington.
Yeah.
The second time he went back, after he went back.
Josh Norman was not.
Because Josh
Not a
Norman played
Niner.
for the Panthers twice. I vividly
Yeah.
remember
Did
he
he?
came back the second time. Yeah. And he went
But
to
he wasn't-
Washington. He was unhappy in Washington, so he went somewhere else. And then he was like, whatever, I'll come back to Carolina.
Went to the Bills.
He went to the Bills. He didn't go to the Panthers.
No, he
Or
went
not
to the
the-
Bills, not the Niners.
He didn't go to the Niners? Yeah. All right.
As an avid 49ers hate watcher, I can pretty confidently say he wasn't on that team. You know, I remember where I was when the news of McCaffrey going from the Panthers to the Niners. I was leaving a youth activity at church. Man, I was mad because it was like a second-round pick. I'm like, are you kidding me? McCaffrey for a second-rounder?
Well, he just tore his entire ACL. I mean, he was one of them hams you see on Instagram where you shake it and it all comes off the bone. Like, that was him. It was a live reenactment of what he did to his leg. And then he got
But
hurt
it's
a year
like-
after the trade. Same thing.
You know, well, what do the broadcasters say about people like Christian McCaffrey? He's a gritty guy.
White
he's
running
gonna-
backs.
Yeah.
First guy in, last guy out.
He's a hard
Let him
worker.
date his daughter. Yeah.
Yeah. You knew he was going to recover from that injury, and it's like giving up on him for a second-round pick. That was just disrespectful.
I mean, I just don't think picks are valued as highly as they should be. I don't think the picks are valued as highly as they should be. I think that DK should have gotten the first, but
Yeah.
okay.
I would have loved a first for DK, but you know what that second-rounder that we got him for turned into? That turned into Nick Emanwari, baby.
Yeah. My
That-
goat.
Then that
goat.
guy should have been a first-rounder. Holy
Yeah.
cow.
Couldn't have gone to the second
No,
round.
yeah, absolutely.
Nicky
That guy
Manwari should have been top 5. I mean, I'm a big
Yeah, if-
relative athletic score guy. 10.0. Crazy.
If the draft was redone, Nicky Emanwari would be a top 5 pick. I think we can
For sure.
pretty
For sure.
confidently say that.
For sure.
There's got to be like some old lineman or something that played
You're
for.
confident that Josh Norman didn't play for the 49ers?
I'm pretty confident. What are you, Googling it or something?
No. I could be wrong. I think he played for him. But I could be wrong. I thought Shane Ray played for the Panthers, and I was wrong.
Do you want to
So-
send it? Because I can't think of anybody fit the
No,
slot.
I'd
other than
rather
Christian
get
McCaffrey.
all 9 spots. I'd rather get all 9 spots with a high one than be wrong. I'd rather go Sam Darnold and get someone in that spot than not.
Yeah, Sam Darnold would be lower than McCaffrey, but not by much. They'll probably
I don't know if a lot of people know that he was there.
Darnold. In-
Yeah, I feel like
San
in San Francisco, I feel like that would be a lower
send
one,
it.
100% than
Sam
McCaffrey.
Darnold.
McCaffrey's probably like 70.
McCaffrey's just like 7.
Bang.
21.
Only
Bang.
20?
Bang.
Bad.
What I say.
I think the only
mean,
reason he's 20 is just because CMC is
Yeah,
so obvious.
70.
Yeah, I mean that's who I would pick.
That's why
If
Jay
I was
Cutler
just trying to
surprised me
fill it
so
out.
much.
Yeah,
I
I
got
thought Brandon Marshall would be the 45 and Cutler would be like a 25. I knew Cutler would be high. I didn't think he'd be that high because I'm like, who remembers him as a Bronco? Nobody. Not even Adam.
Trash.
And Adam
There's
got
gotta be-
freaking.
Yeah, I did
Alan
not. I did not
Page.
realize that he played for the Alan Page is a demon. Alan Page is a demon.
Alan
Yes,
Page
There's
Yeah,
got to be an
yeah,
O
yeah.
lineman that played
Oh,
for both these
100%.
teams.
Especially the ones that just get passed around on 1-year deals.
You know, one of my favorite guys when I see Colts is Mark Lewinsky, but he was a Seahawk and a Giant. I don't think he ever made it to Denver. Man, this Broncos one is tearing us up because it's AFC. The AFC ones are hard for me because we don't play them as much as we play the NFC teams.
All right, who's trying to go through like rosters of people that I know. Like
I did look it up
2020 or something.
because I thought I was going crazy. 2021, Josh Norman had 7 forced fumbles for the San Francisco 49ers before he went back to Carolina.
Are you kidding me?
I am
What?
not.
Here's my search history if anybody's wondering. Josh Norman. I need to see him 49ers. I got to see a picture of him as a 49er.
Oh my gosh, if I just look up Josh Norman, oh, never mind.
See, when I look at this picture, you know who I think of? You know who I think this is? I think that's Jason Verrett.
What a deep. What? That's a.
That's what that
Didn't
looks
Jason
like to me.
Verrett play for the Colts? Jason Verrett played for the Panthers too, didn't he?
No, he was a Charger Niner.
He didn't just play for two teams though. Maybe he did.
I don't know if he ever made it to those like weird teams. Selected by the Chargers. He went to the Niners. Let's see this. There we go.
Oh,
Yeah,
it
he was a
was just
Charger
Chargers
Niner.
Niners. Okay.
His career
Fair
was
enough.
super short because of his injuries.
Yeah, he couldn't
He had
stay on the
legs
field.
of glass.
7 forced fumbles for the 49ers in 2021. God,
I'm curious.
It's a great season.
Yeah.
Yeah,
For
as
somebody
a corner.
washed as he was. What year was that, did you say?
2021.
I didn't know he was still around that late. I remember him as a Bill, but mostly because of the Derrick Henry picture.
Mm.
This is a
He
classic.
played 2 stints for Buffalo too. Yeah,
Look at this classic right there.
that
I
was the
mean-
game that he got a return touchdown too. He got a return touchdown that game. Now he also, got stiff armed, but whatever.
Derrick Henry was. I mean, yeah, it's sad that he could score a touchdown, but this is the moment that we remember was him getting.
Well, I mean, rightfully so. He got torched.
That would have been a great pull if he put Josh Norman right there, but 21% ain't bad. We set the bar at 20, so 21 is. We'll take it. All right.
That really has me wondering where Brandon Marshall was over Jay Cutler. Jay Cutler is 45.
See, and it's sad because Brandon Marshall is such a great player, but Cutler's a quarterback, so he gets more thought through.
Well, I mean, we just did Sam Darnold, and Sam Darnold got less than McCaffrey.
Yeah, but I mean, McCaffrey was on the cover of Madden. That's the difference. He's
That
the
well,
household name. He's won all those awards.
yeah. Shout out Peyton Hillis.
Peyton Hillis, what Madden cover legend right there.
0.7, by the way. Just looked it up. 0.7.
Josh Norman would have gotten 0.7. Man, I'm sorry for shutting you down
It's
on that
okay.
one, but
It's okay.
I do not
Dude,
remember that.
I just went into an immaculate grid to see what Brandon Marshall got. Want to take a guess at his percentage?
It had to have been less than 45. 20?
23%.
Oh, bro.
That's
Man.
stupid.
See, and you figure that people remember a guy like that over.
I mean, he has the
Cutler.
receptions record. Like that single season reception record, Brandon Marshall. Well, I guess Michael Thomas has it now, but still.
So his year in San Francisco.
7 forced fumbles from a cornerback.
Golly.
Yeah. I mean, he'd had good seasons where he'd gotten some fumbles, but nothing close to that before.
Like, you're just touching him and he's going.
And
I don't have
he
the
only had
ball.
one pick that year for reference.
Yeah, but
I mean,
there were
he's-
a lot of years he only had one pick. I mean,
He's consistently had a comparable amount of forced fumbles to interceptions. That's like Peanut Tillman status.
Give me one.
That's gnarly. I don't know
It's
how I
heartbreaking.
missed that.
it is heartbreaking.
All right, let's lock in on these 2 slots. We got to think of somebody.
You would just shoot Elway?
I don't know if I can comfortably put Elway because it says he had to have played in a regular season or playoff game for that team to qualify.
Did Josh Johnson play for the Broncos? I'm just trying to think of how many teams Josh Johnson has played for.
Josh Johnson's plays for the Broncos, but I don't think he played for either of these 2 teams. Maybe this one.
He played
Hey.
for the Panthers. He played for the Panthers.
Tell me PJ Walker didn't play for the Broncos.
That's gross. Did he? No.
Dude, I feel like PJ Walker was a Bronco. Was he not? I know he was a Panther. He went to the Panthers out
He
of
might
the
have been.
XFL. Was PJ Walker a Bronco? I feel like he was. You know what it might be? I think every time I look at the Panthers logo, I think of the Broncos because that was one of my first years I watched like a full season of football. It was like one of my first 3 years watching football was the Panthers Broncos Super Bowl.
Cam
So I
Newton
think-
doing it by himself.
Yeah, I think the Broncos are forever part of the Panthers in my brain. That might be it, but I feel like PJ Walker would fit in this slot right here. If we can't think of
Josh
anything else,
Johnson
I
didn't
wanna
play
rip
for the
that.
Panthers?
I don't think so. Maybe. I feel like he's played for every team, but he's like, you know when you're playing Wordle and you put a do because it has the 4 vowels? That's like what Josh Johnson is for the Immaculate Grid. You just put him in and it works. And so he's always high, even though he's this like journeyman, it's like Ryan Fitzpatrick. He fits in most of the slots. And so everyone who plays Immaculate Grid knows Josh Johnson. And so he's always high, even though he's not like a starter. Don't hate the player, hate the game.
Fair enough. Did Drew Lock play for Carolina?
No. Drew Lock
No.
is a Bronco and Seahawk and Giant. He played 1 year for the Giants before
He
coming
did play
back
with,
to
yeah,
Seattle.
that's what I'm thinking of. The 1 year for the Giants, where he had a 20-yard sack on Thanksgiving.
I don't remember that.
20
He was
yards,
on
went
my
back
mission when
20
that happened.
yards. What in the world?
What about Drew Lock's legacy game starting for Geno and beating the Eagles in prime time?
I have 18 TikTok reposts from that night. All of Drew Lock. I am a Drew Lock believer. He's
Wait,
got a
'cause you're a
nickname at
Mizzou guy.
Mizzou. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
got a nickname at Mizzou, and it's fantastic. It's
Horse?
yeah,
The horse one?
that guy.
Yeah.
He's that guy.
What was that song he was rapping on the sidelines for the Broncos?
It's Jeezy and Kanye. God, it used to be my walk-up song. Put
In
on
baseball?
by Jeezy.
Put
featuring
on, that's
Kanye.
right. Oh,
Yep.
and he's like, he should have gotten the Kenny Pickett Eagles experience where he takes a snap for the kneel down.
Kenny Kitten Mittens, smallest hands coming out of the combine, still drafted in the first round.
It's
Two
like Will
gloves,
Campbell with the
by the way.
T-Rex arms.
2 gloves. He wears 2 gloves on his Kenny Kitten Mittens.
Yeah.
2-glove quarterback with micro hands. Okay.
So
Sure.
in these slots, we have Bridgewater and Manning. Those we know.
I
Bridgewater
feel like
will
Bridgewater's
be
going to be
lower.
higher than Josh Johnson.
I'm just not confident Josh Johnson played for the Panthers.
Fair
I
enough.
don't think Josh Johnson played for the Panthers.
Okay.
PJ
It might be
Walker's
one of the 3
Hail
teams
Mary
he didn't
here.
play for.
Yeah, never made it to Seattle. I know that.
Did Joe Flacco play for the
Yes, he did.
Did he?
Yes, but did Flacco play for the Broncos or was that Bortles?
No, Flacco played for the Broncos. No worry. I'm worried about the Colts. Flacco
He definitely
played
played for the Colts.
Broncos.
Flacco definitely fits here.
Flacco played for
said
the
it?
Broncos, and Big Don was like, yeah, he's the greatest quarterback of all time. That was the year that they released the Joe Flacco's elite video.
Yeah.
Do we send it?
If he
think-
played for the Colts,
Yeah.
yeah, do it.
He definitely played for the Colts.
All right.
7.
Woo! Demon. All right.
I remember
If you
Bortles.
think-
I do remember Flacco on the Broncos. It was before Bortles,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they thought he was going to be the answer. He was not.
and neither was Bortles.
Well, yeah. Shout out Bo Nix. I'm going to build him a statue.
All right, boys. We got one slot left.
So what do
only
we have,
2
PJ
big
Walker?
whiffs.
PJ Walker and
Bridgewater.
who was the one?
This'll
And
be-
not Josh Johnson. Okay. Oh,
We can Google it after if I'm wrong.
Yeah,
I don't
that's-
think Josh Johnson played for the
Ye-
Panthers.
Yeah, I mean, I remember him in a blue team, but it might have been the Bills. It might have been the Bills. I know he played for
But
the
yeah,
Bills
he
at least
definitely
once.
played for the Bills.
Did PJ Walker make it to the Broncos?
I don't know if he did.
Do we just put Bridgewater and hope?
Well, what are
Hope
we
it's low?
like? What's the calculations that we got now? If we're going for an average of 20, Big Rob and Jay kind of.
Yeah, hold on. Let me calculate the numbers real quick.
That's what I'm thinking. Like, I don't think he ever made it to the Broncos.
PJ Walker. I don't remember PJ Walker
at-
that well.
16.7 right now. So we're
And if-
we're below our threshold.
But if we get
we add-
get Teddy Two Gloves,
If let's say Teddy's at 40, right?
okay, yeah, that's comfortable.
That bumps us up to 19. So we're still below our 20%
So as long as he's
threshold.
under 42, man,
I'm gonna be
Okay.
mad. I'm gonna be so mad if PJ Walker played for the Broncos. 45.
No.
We're not gonna make our threshold, boys.
bro,
No.
God, no.
All right, let's see some guys that we missed in this slot. Who could we have gone for? It was C.J. Anderson, not
Eh.
Jonathan Stewart. That's who I was thinking of.
Man,
Oh my gosh. Wow, yeah, that guy just came right back
Wow.
into my memory.
I was convinced it was Jonathan Stewart. It was C.J. Anderson. He was on the Super Bowl team.
Royce Freeman. Remember that
He
guy?
was on the Super Bowl team for the Broncos, not the Panthers.
CJ Anderson, I forgot that he existed. Holy crap.
yo, scroll up to receiving. Scroll up to receiving. Who is that? Who is the fourth selection right there?
Willie Green.
Willie Green.
He was a Detroit
No
Lion.
way.
He was a Detroit Lion.
Man. How about this one?
No.
AJ Boye.
Wait, Willie Green.
AJ Boye.
Where'd we put Willie Green?
Lamar Jackson.
Lamar
But the
Jackson,
other
the
Lamar
corner.
Jackson.
Oh man, Josie Jewell, Ernest Jones.
That's a
the
gettable
original.
one.
Josie Jewell should have been there. I didn't know he played for the Panthers.
All right. I'm looking up PJ Walker now. If he was a Bronco,
No, he
I'm
was
gonna
not.
be-
He was a Brown. I don't think he was ever a Bronco. I think
No,
you're
he
thinking of him and
why am I remembering him as a Bronco?
I don't know who you're thinking
He
of.
has no connection to the Broncos. What would Willie Green have given us?
It might be 1 or 2%.
Point three.
That is ball knowledge.
Adam, I'm
Dude,
sorry for questioning your ball
No,
knowledge.
it's okay. It's okay, man. It's okay. You listen to me with Laquan and Stephon Gilmore and Alan Page. And Flacco. Flacco was mine too.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, it's okay. You don't have to listen to me. You listen to me on all of our best picks.
Bro, dude, God, I should have stuck it. But I wasn't confident. That he played for.
Yeah.
Man.
Hey, Pierre Garçon was a good
Pierre
pull by me.
Garçon was a great pull. I would have not gotten that.
Jackson, the Robbie Gould
My
one.
contribution with Robbie Gould.
I have no idea who else he would have gone. Let's look at this list of who we could have gone. Brian Hoyer.
Hoyer.
Mike Davis and Marquise Goodwin. Those were
Marquise Goodwin.
Ted Ginn Jr.
Ted Ginn Jr.
Brandon
That's
Lloyd.
who I was thinking of. That's who I was trying to think of.
Dante Pettis.
Yeah.
Seahawks legend Eric Saubert.
Eric Saubert. Man.
Yeah. Aaron Lynch. That's who I was thinking of. Aaron Lynch wore number 99 and retired at like 27. I knew it.
Well, he looks like he retired a little later than 27.
No, he is 30 now, and he stopped playing in 2020.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Wow. Why did he retire?
Injuries. Wore number 99 with the Bears.
What was his injury? He just lost both of his legs? Did he get in a car crash?
I think it was just, well, he's one of those guys that's smart enough to be like, I'm going to retire before my brain becomes Antonio Brown or Puka
Shout out
Nacua.
Aaron Rodgers. Man, Jay Cutler being that high. What was, Jackson, what did you say Brandon Marshall's was?
It was 23.
I should listen to you there too, but I thought Cutler was a deep pull because, I mean, how long did Cutler play for the Broncos?
A couple
3 years.
Wow.
Yeah, 3 years.
You know, he's remembered as a Bear because he played there for 7 years.
Yeah, forever. Yeah,
Decade almost.
His year in Miami is still so funny.
It's crazy to keep a quarterback that long that doesn't do anything.
Look at this year.
It was always
his
that
first
he
year in
could.
Chicago.
It
His
was
first
like,
year in Chicago, 27 touchdowns, 26 picks. That's Jameis Winston level.
Jameis was a demon.
26.
44
interceptions.
touchdowns and 40 interceptions. I mean,
30.
come on.
Here's the thing:
No,
to
I
throw
think it was
40
40 for 40.
interceptions,
It was not 40. He threw 34 touchdowns, 30 interceptions, and 5,000 yards. He was the passing leader, but he also threw 30 picks.
to throw 30 picks and to still throw more touchdowns than that is impressive.
He's one
And
of my favorite
5,000
players of all
yards.
time. He didn't even throw that. Oh, yeah, he did. He threw on 626 passes. Wow.
Yeah.
33 touchdowns, 30 interceptions.
Oh, I was being generous with the 34. And then he was benched the next year. He threw 5,000 yards, left the team to go be a backup.
Yeah, because they brought in Brady. I mean, you're not going to really...
Well,
Come
yeah,
on,
but I'm
man.
saying he couldn't start for the Saints? Did they still have Breeze in 2020?
Did they have Derek Carr at that point, or they still have Drew Brees?
Yeah.
Either
They
way,
had Breeze.
If you
Carr.
have Drew Brees, and they were paying Derek Carr $44 million a year. What talk about a contract? Good Lord! Did he get signed this year? Does he have a team now? Because I think the
don't think
Giants deal
so.
is a 1-year deal. Jameis Winston is the guy that I have that is teaching Jackson Dart. That is my veteran that I have starting. So Jackson Dart can
He's
learn
already
and grow.
He's already the mentor there.
Well, that's true. Exactly. He's coming over to Detroit.
All right, boys. I think this is where we're going to cut it. Do we know ball? Let us know. I think
No.
yeah, I think this immaculate grid showing was a little bit rough for us.
The ball
gonna-
definitely needs some more knowing.
We're gonna come back
Question mark
next time.
Podcast.
Yeah. We're going to come back next time better than ever and ready to prove that we do in fact know ball, despite our immaculate grid average being probably like 23% rarity.
Our grid was just immaculate.
It was immaculate. Yeah. Is that a word?
Our immaculate grid.
Yeah. Yeah, you
It
can't have
should be.
immaculate without it has to be. You can't have immaculate without maculate. You can't have
Yes, it
imperfect
is.
without perfect.
Immaculate means spotted, blotched, or stained,
Yeah.
morally sullied or impure. So
Aaron
I think
Rodgers.
our morally sullied grid.
I think that defines our grid here. It's definitely stained. It's
look at
stained
the characters
by
we
Cutler,
got on here.
Bridgewater, Gold, and half of Sam Darnold. Because those 40s are rough, and that 20 is it leaves some to be desired. So, thank you for joining us for Ball Knowledge, the podcast. We're going to come back better and ready to prove that we do, in fact, know ball. Because that's what this podcast is about. We're a bunch of guys trying to prove that we know ball because we all have aspirations of being in the sports field as analysts, broadcasters, whatever. What have you, as Jackson would say, what have you? So we're going to prove it. We're going to come back stronger next time. And thank you all for joining us. Anything you guys would like to say before we wrap up?
I like to thank the fans.
You're the
I'd like
real
to thank
MVP.
my mom.
You're the real MVP.
Yeah, you're the real MVP. Yeah, there it is.
There we go.
All right,
Yeah.
you guys know what to do. Wherever you're listening to the podcast, follow us on there. Find us on YouTube, Instagram. All right. Appreciate you, boys. Catch you guys next time.
Peace
Peace.
out.